So Dave, tell us what you do.
Well, I'm a business performance coach. I work with business owners, mainly small business owners, to grow their business. I had my own real estate practice, and I ended up working for a business coaching company that worked with real estate agents. A few years in, I ran the company, the coaching end of it, grew that from 20 coaches and 1,100 clients to 80 coaches and 4,500 clients. And then the bigger we got, the more I was involved in the bureaucracy and stakeholder management and less coaching, and really what I like to do is to coach. So I started my own practice where I get to choose my own clients and hopefully have an impact on their business.
Can you tell us how many years you've been doing this, and why do you think you focus on doing this for that long year?
I've been doing it for 20 years, and I think the reason I've been doing it so long is I have a passion for it. You know, having started my own business, I saw the challenges of starting and growing a business, and having coached people and actually other coaches, I've seen the value in coaching for small business owners.
For 20 years, what kept you motivated?
I think when in the beginning it was because it was hard. I wasn't very good at it, and so I wanted to become good at it. Now it's that every day there's certain business principles that are foundational, but everybody's business is different, and so everyone applies those principles in a different way, and so every day is different for me. There's similar challenges, but we're going to solve them in different ways.
Can you give us like example of where you get your clients, where you find them, or how they find you?
Yeah, most of my clients are referred to me by other clients I've worked with. Like I said, I typically work with small business owners. Most of the clients I work with have had some semblance of success. They've typically been in business 5 years or longer, and they hit a ceiling. Even the most successful business owners will hit a ceiling eventually. And when they do, I help them break through that. And so they're typically referred to me by somebody who's worked with me in the past.
With all your clients, and do you like travel to go see them? Do you do this online? Where you like work with them?
It's all virtual. We do it over teleconferencing software. My clients I have clients all over the United States, so it'd be tough to travel to each one of them, so we do it virtually.
Do you have like any partners or employees that's working with you?
Nope, a solo practice. The company I used to run, I had 100 people on my team, and we were a company of about 250. But like I said, the bigger we got, the more I was caught up in bureaucracy. So when I started my own practice, I wanted to make sure I kept it small. So just me working, and I typically work with no more than 20 clients at a time.
That's good. I'm really happy you actually found where you like find your happiness.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's important.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you find where you like feel comfortable and happy. I mean, we're not always supposed to be comfortable, but like at least we're happy doing it.
Yeah,
right?
You know, I think it's fulfillment, right? Like it's. I had a client actually who he had created the perfect life for himself, where his businesses had gotten to a place where he didn't have to ever work again, and so he created this nice ranch in Oregon. And got to do what he wanted to do every day, and he found that he wasn't happy because there needed to be something to stretch him. And so we actually got him to start another business, and but do it in a way that allowed him to have the freedom. But I think, to your point, it's important to have something to strive for.
You mentioned that you did real estate. Like, how was your experience back then?
It's a long and varied story. I don't know if we have time, but I'll try to get it in. So. Out of college, I worked for a finance company, and I did that for a little while, and I didn't find it fulfilling. And so what I really loved doing, I was a communication major, and I love sports, so I got into sports broadcasting in small markets. I moved into a larger market, and the industry started to change, and so I had to find something to supplement my income while I was doing that, and fell into real estate. And so I sold real estate. I was in broadcasting for about 11 years. I sold real estate for 13 years. And that led to me being invited to work with this coaching company. I was in radio while I was still selling real estate, and then real estate became my main focus. And then I coached while I was still selling real estate, and then coaching became my main focus, and I've been doing that for 20 years.
I'm just like curious, do you think like you're making more money in coaching or in your real estate business?
That's a great question. Yeah, more money in real estate than coaching. Now, the coaching is a great industry, and there's an opportunity to make quite a bit of money. But yeah, it's, at a certain point, money is important, but at a certain point, I think fulfillment is equally important.
Do you think being a finance major, that's what you took on college, right?
I was a communication major that found my way into finance.
Into finance. Yeah. Do you think you could work without it to become a coaching?
Yeah, I think, it's an interesting industry because anybody can call themselves a coach, right? It's an unregulated industry. All you have to say is that I'm coaching somebody and you can become a coach. And that's, I think it's good because it's a low barrier of entry for people who want to do it. It's bad because for the people who are hiring a coach, you want to make sure they know what they're doing. And I always say there's a progression of professional development. Teaching, training, mentoring, and coaching. They're all important, and not one is more important than the other, but they're different. So if you need information on what to do, you want to hire a teacher. If you want to develop your skill, you want to hire a trainer. If you want to tap into somebody's experience, you want to hire a mentor. But if you know what to do and you know how to do it and you've had some experience doing it and you find yourself just not doing what you know you need to do or not getting the results that you want to do, that's when you hire a coach. And a good coach is going to draw out the potential that's already inside you.
If therapists have a therapist, coaches have coaches. Can you tell us the names or the people who inspire you to do this?
Yeah, I'm always working with a coach. And some of the coaches that I've had the good fortune to work with in the past are people like Rich Litvin, Taki Moore. I'm currently working with a gentleman named Carl Bryan. And so I think, to your point, like I think if you were a coach and you didn't have a coach, it would be a little disingenuous. Every coach has a different style, and so it's good to find out how they can tap into your potential. I've learned something from every coach that I've worked with.
What's one thing you can say in your 10-year-old self right now?
Wow, that's a great question. What would I tell my 10-year-old self? I would say you're on the right path. Everything is working out the way it's supposed to work out. You have to trust the process and trust yourself.
Before you find your fulfillment, what are the struggles you've been through, and then how you overcome it?
Yeah, I think there's commonalities in most, from a business standpoint, in the struggle most people have. Most business owners get into a business because they love to do something or they're good at doing something, but they don't necessarily know the business aspect of it, right? So typically people who get into real estate, for example, they love houses and they love people. The business aspect of it are tough. Same with coaching. People that get into coaching typically like to help other people grow. They're not great at the business part of it. So I think I've had those struggles that everybody else has had, and that is turning your passion into a real business.
I mean, I understand money is kind of a way in to become, but once you actually finally can invest in yourself and then finally find your fulfillment, I think people should go and do it, right? It took you how many years before you actually do into coaching?
Well, geez, I would say I was 45 years old when no, it couldn't have been that long. 40 years, because I'm only 60 now. So I was 40 years old before I found my passion, right? But you bring up a super good point, Sophia, and that is there's certain things that motivate everybody. Everybody is motivated in some stretch by growth. Everybody's motivated in some stretch by freedom or stability. Everybody is motivated by some sort of connection. For business owners, it typically the growth part shows up as money. I want to make a little more money. And the stability part shows up as freedom. I want to make some more money and I want to have some freedom. And then the connection part for a business owner typically shows up as impact. And if you're only focused on any one of those motivations, you're going to be unfulfilled. It has to be all three.
If you like find your fulfillment right now, can you tell us a little bit about your routine? Like, what is your morning routine? Can you share us? Because we're always curious, like, what's going on in their mind? Like, what do they do? What do they take? What do they eat?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I don't eat well. My morning routine is, I'm very regimented in my morning routine. I'm typically up between 5 and 5:30. I do a little bit of meditation, and then I have some coffee and read, and then I try to get some form of exercise, and then I'll start my business day around 9 o'clock. In my workday schedule is also, there's a routine with it. Monday is pretty much a week that it's my planning day. I'll work on content. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are my coaching days. And then Friday is kind of my day to recap, do my administration, make sure I've tied everything together. Not every business owner is able to have that flexibility. I work mainly with professional services, so accountants, financial planners, other coaches, real estate agents, chiropractors, so they can adjust their schedule a little more to have that type of routine.
When did you find your right schedule?
You know, I think I'm always trying to tweak it, but I think a lot of people that I work with struggle with that because they're focused on growth, and so growth comes at the expense of balance. And so what I try to work with clients on is making sure we have the end in mind. You may love what you do, but everybody works to fund their life. And so we want to make sure that you're living the life you want to live while you're trying to do the job to fund it. So with the clients I work with, a lot of times we'll start with, hey, what's the life you want to live? Great, let's build the business backwards from that. And when we do, people typically find that we can free up 10 hours a week because you have to force in the important part of the business if you put your life in your calendar first.
So like, do you like actually put your work first or life first in your calendar?
Well, are you asking what I coach people to do or what I do? No, I'm just getting I think with everybody, I try to get them to put their life in first and the important things in their life. Like, you know, the way I look at it is, what are some of the big rocks you want to have in your calendar for the year? And what are some of the smaller, exciting things you want to do throughout the year? Let's get those in your calendar. And then in your week, how do you want to live the week? A lot of the professionals I work with, when they come to me, one of the things they say is that they're not making enough time for their family. So we flip the switch. If they had a perfect world and they didn't have to work, what would they do? Would they go to their kids' sporting events or dance recitals? Well, let's put those in the calendar. Did they want to be home for dinner 5 nights a week, 3 nights a week? Let's put that in the calendar. And then once that's in, let's build the business around it. At first, people resist that, but what you find is you can do it because you cut out all the things that keep you busy during the day, but aren't really productive for you during the day.
I see. That's good that you're actually like helping them out find their like life first before work. Even I know they need to focus on their work, but you're giving them time to focus on their self as well.
Exactly right. And if we build the life schedule and there's not enough time to build the business that they want to build, then we've got to make some sacrifices somewhere. But what most people do is they put the business in first, they sacrifice what they're really working for, and then they hope someday they'll have time to do it. Yeah, there's a balance for sure. You're never going to have the perfect world, but that's exactly right. And you know, there's a well-known book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of the first chapters is begin with the end in mind. And so that's what I think most people forget. Most people, we try to set a goal from where we are and then try to push forward to it instead of let's begin with the end in mind and work backward from it.
Thank you for this, because I'm actually learning it
Okay,
to myself
good.
too. Not only for you guys, but for me as well. Like,
That's great.
This is like really helpful. All right, so what do you think is the biggest mistake that the small owners do that make them feel stuck?
I think there's 3 things. I do want to address some because we've been talking about fulfillment and balance, and I don't want people to think that it's Pollyanna, right? Like the things that I work with my clients about I help my clients add $10,000 a month in revenue, an additional $10,000 a month, and free up time. So I'm very proud of the fact that I've helped over 100 businesses get to $1 million in revenue or more, particularly since only 9% of all businesses ever get there. So while it is about balance, it's also about growth. And that leads into your question, I think, about the mistakes people make. The first is that when people get into business, they don't give themselves a long enough runway to achieve success. Most people get into business because they have a passion for something or they're good at it and they think they're going to see results right away. It's been my experience that most businesses that start won't make a profit for at least the first year. So you have to have enough runway to be able to weather that storm and not quit. The second thing is when people start to experience a level of success. So there's kind of three main levels of a business growth. There's the build phase. That's where you're making less than about $10,000 a month. Once you get to $10,000 a month, you have some stability in your business. And then the next phase is grow phase. And most small business owners live in that. That's anywhere from $10,000 a month to about $85,000 a month. At that $85,000 a month mark, which is the $1 million a year mark, it's the scale phase. So most businesses are in this grow phase. When they're in that grow phase, the mistake they typically make is they don't hire soon enough. When they need help, they're the engine of their business instead of the driver of their business. And when they do hire, when they reach a place where they, oh my gosh, I have to hire now, they hire out of urgency. So they tend to make bad hires initially. So what I try to work with clients on is, as we're moving through the grow phase, let's put processes in place that we're able to hire when we need to, and we're going to hire for role, not person. Is what when you hire out of urgency, you go, oh, Sophia's a good person, I'm going to hire her, and then you may or may not be the right person for the role. So that's the two biggest. There's three biggest mistakes. One, not enough runway. Two, not hiring soon enough, and three, when they do hire, hiring out of urgency. The other thing that I would say is people try to scale too quickly. So when I started in coaching, people would come to me and say, hey, I want to make $100,000 a year. Now people come to me and say, I want to make $1 million a year. And it's absolutely doable, but you're not going to go from $200,000 to $1 million, and that's what people are trying to do. And that's why I focus on, we're going to add an additional $10,000 a month. So, $240,000 a year, you're making $20,000 a month. Instead of saying, I want to make $500,000, let's get you to $30,000 a month. And then $40,000 a month. And if we do it that way, we'll actually get you to $500,000 quicker.
That's good. It's like one step at a time.
Absolutely. I call it the level up process. It's a framework that I use with my clients, yeah.
That's really good. I'm actually learning.
Good.
like really, because I'm like, I do have a cosmetic business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to run. I might be launching it next year. I don't know when, but I want to work with it. But I'm always writing notes down. I'm like, okay, you know what? If it's time to hire, this is the time to hire.
Exactly.
I'm even I don't have the real step, but I'm writing them down. So for me to know what to do in my future.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And start with the end in mind, right? The other thing I tell people when they're starting a business, start the business with the idea that you're eventually going to sell the business. Not that you ever will, but if you build a business that way, you can if you want to. And so it's starting with that end in mind instead of, a mistake a lot of people make. There's three things when I'm working with a small business owner that get in the way of their growth. One is just growth stalls, and usually it's because they're trying to do too much instead of leveraging people and systems. The other is that they become the bottleneck of their business because they're trying to do too much in the business. And then the third, I call it business by Band-Aid. And that's problems come up, and so instead of taking time to assess the problem and solve the problem, we stick a Band-Aid on it, and then another Band-Aid on it, and then another Band-Aid on it, and all of a sudden we have a super complex business. But if you start with the end in mind, then you're not putting Band-Aids on problem, you're solving not just this problem, but what will be the next problem you have to solve.
Who do you think is easier to work with? The people who's making $100,000 a year or $1 million a year?
Definitely $1 million a year. And the reason is the problems are different. The problems are often more complicated at $1 million a year, but they have the resources to weather a storm, typically. Now, that's not entirely true because some people will make $1 million a year but have $900,000 in expenses, and so they don't have a lot of bandwidth there either, right? So it's not just revenue, it's profitability. But typically, if you have more resources, you can weather the storm longer. The most exciting people to work with are the people making $100,000 a year because they're hungry for the growth, right?
I know there's no perfect time, but when do you think they should find you?
Well, that's a great question. Somebody asked me the other day, how do I know when I need a coach? I don't think anybody needs a coach. There's nothing like, I don't really share any wisdom with my clients that they couldn't find in a book or in a training program. I think everybody's better with a coach. So nobody needs a coach, but everybody's better with a coach, because a good coach is going to draw out your potential. So the business owners I work with, they're smart, they're successful, and they've hit a plateau, and usually that plateau is because they're doing things the way they used to do things. They know more about their business than I'll ever know about their business. So what I try to do is get them to see their business from a different perspective, so that they can, that whatever's causing their bottleneck doesn't keep causing the cap. So I don't know that there's any one time that somebody would seek me out. When people tend to seek me out, it's when they've hit this level of success that they can't seem to break through. Typically, when they come to me, they say one of two things or two things. It's either, I'm making all the money I want, I need now to figure out how to enjoy it, because my business is consuming me 24/7. Or I want to make more money, and I don't want to I can't keep up at this pace. So really, a lot of what we focus on is how to grow their business and free up their time.
After 20 years of coachings, what are the patterns you see over and over and over again?
Wow. I would say this, losing sight of what you're actually trying to accomplish. So people get busy, but to what purpose? And so one of the things I try to work with my clients on is what's the destination we're going after? And then are we backing that into a series of targets we can hit and a series of missions that we can engage in? The other thing, a pattern I see, is that people try to use somebody else's playbook. And instead of leveraging their natural gifts and their natural abilities, they try to find a playbook that's, somebody told me I have to do it this way. And usually that doesn't work. What I found for most of my clients is we're better off if we build a playbook that's built around how they're designed versus trying to use somebody else's playbook.
Thank you so much for everything that I learned for you. I actually learned a lot. It was so fun actually get to meet you and to talk to you. Now I'm thinking, I think I should get a coach. Maybe next year when I start my business.
Yeah, give me a call.
All right, but before we end this, can you please tell us where we can find you, social medias and websites?
Yeah, on most of the socials, I'm at Coach Dave McGee, and McGee is McGhee, and my website is coachdavemcgee.com. And once a month I run a free workshop, and you can find information on my website.
All right, thank you so much, Dave.
Well, thanks, Sophia. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.